Well, our next guest is familiar with a lot of dirty jobs, but now he's taken a dive into mixing two of his passions, writing and history. Danny caught up with Mike Rowe himself to learn more about his new film, Something to Stand For.
I am so honored this morning to be talking to Mike Rowe. This is so amazing. Okay, we're talking about Something to Stand For. I got a little sneak preview and I am already hooked, I have to say. So what inspired you to make this film?
Well, I was asked if I would like to make a major motion picture. And I said, well, that seems complicated. And they said, but wait, we can make it easier. And what followed was a remarkable conversation between myself and some people over at Fathom Events. And the short version is they liked my podcast, which is a few hundred short mysteries, right? In the style of the old Paul Harvey show. So it's these 8 or 9 minute mysteries where you learn something you didn't know about somebody that you do. Well, those stories turned into a book, and the book turned into a TV series. And these theater guys said, look, we think if you pick 9 or 10 of the most patriotic stories in there and bring them to life for the big screen, we would have the makings of something really unique for Independence Day. And I said, I think that's a pretty good idea. So we did, and boom, now I'm on your show.
Exactly, which we're so honored. Again, I mean, this is such a unique and different way to do things. We loved watching a little bit of the clips just because it's so much fun to be able to, one, hear your voice the entire time, because who doesn't love hearing your voice, but also being able to get just this kind of step-by-step, play-by-play of these historic events. So how long has this been in the works? Did it take you a long time to create this?
Well, the notion for the podcast is about 7 years old. For the movie, I got to tell you, it's probably like 3 or 4 months old. It happened really fast.
Wow.
But it's not a typical Hollywood production. This could never happen in Hollywood. We filmed, except for my trip to DC, which holds these stories together, everything was filmed in Oklahoma. 300 actors, all from Oklahoma. The crew, all from Oklahoma. So we got it done in a very unusual way, which is great because it's a very unusual movie. It's not a documentary, and it's not Saving Private Ryan. It's something kind of in between. But to your point, it's really a series of mysteries designed to make history accessible to people who would otherwise maybe not be that interested in it.
Yeah, which so speaks to me because I'm not usually interested in history, but after watching, I was like totally hooked. So definitely something I'm going to be watching from start to finish. Now, what did you find, would you say, most challenging when it came to the writing and kind of constructing of this?
Writing is intense. Writing is deliberate. Writing is intentional. You know, I've always liked to write, and I started writing these stories mostly just to pass the time on airplanes and in greasy spoons all across the country while I was working on dirty jobs. Movies are also deliberate and very intentional. And unlike dirty jobs, where you know, we didn't do any casting, we didn't do any scripting, we didn't do any second takes. So it's a very different medium to work in for me, but it's also really gratifying because you get to say exactly what you mean, and when you see it brought to life with great actors and great cinematography, you know, then you become a part of a team. And you know, to be honest, Danny, I rarely think of myself that way. I've always been a freelancer, and I've always worked in a very specific way in TV. So this has all been a great experience for me. But mostly, look, it's a love letter to the country, and that's what I wanted it to be. And I was really glad to feel like that's what it turned into.
That's so special. I think that's a beautiful way to put it, to a love letter to the country. Mike, before I let you go, what do you hope that people take away from this film? Obviously, so much historic value to it, but what else do you hope that people walk away thinking?
Well, the most important thing is to be entertained. The most important thing is to say, you know what? We spent 2 hours in the dark with a bunch of strangers and we all came together and that was fun. And maybe on the ride home, families have a basis to talk about something they learned or something they didn't know. I can't really control that. I hope that happens. Mostly, I hope that liberals and conservatives can agree that first and foremost we're Americans. And while we're not done, right, we're still a work in progress. This country always will be. We were formed by imperfect people. I get all that, but there's been so much progress. And there's so much to feel good about, be proud of, to feel grateful for. And mostly, here on the 4th of July, to celebrate.
Absolutely. It's just a message across the board that I think we all hope to take home regardless. Well, Mike, thank you so much again for taking the time. Such an honor. And I can't wait to sit down and watch the film start to finish. I have a feeling it's going to be one that's our Independence Day comeback. So I appreciate that.
Something to stand for .movie. You can see the trailer there, pick up some tickets. It'll be great.
Amazing. Mike, thank you again.
You're welcome.
Okay, and you can check out Something to Stand For. It's in theaters today. We'll be right back.